We live. All right. It's Wednesday, middle of the week. Didn't feel like podcasting this morning. I will be podcasting in the afternoon. Well, in the evening time, I will be podcasting. But yeah, New Age traditionalism, Jersey Judah here. We're going to play some music. I'm going to smoke. I'm going to say what's on my mind. Not sure how long this is going to be. This thing is on about 60%. Phone is on about 30%. But before we start, might as well play some music. Music by myself, Jersey Judah. You can also find me on SoundCloud, Jersey Judah, JerzEeJudah. You'll find this face and you'll find my music. So, without further ado, let's see what I can play just to start things off. We'll play a little of the Wave Master, Spark This Blunt, and then we're going to get right into the fuckery. All right, Jersey Judah, Red Pill Party? No, Jersey Judah here. Jersey Judah here. New Age traditionalism. I don't usually stream, although I've told people I would stream once a month, so this would technically count. The beginning of the month. I think I did something. The last time I did something was either the beginning of March or the end of February. But either way, I'm back. All right. Throughout the time, like when I started really diving into like the manosphere and the red pill, right? I came across different faces, and these different faces, they represented different things. Like one guy will tell you, it breaks up into so many different groups now that the red pill is just like a vague terminology, where on the political world that's seen as a conservative thing. But it's like the red pill, this is the best way I can describe it on a political level. The red pill is like the response from the right to the woken left. You see what I mean? So it's just back and forth shit. So when people mention the red pill today, it's kind of like mixed reactions because, like, what are you talking about? You're talking about PUAs, you're talking about dating coaches, or are you talking about guys talking really speaking on self-development? And that's really my, the latter is sort of my, I wouldn't say expertise, but in a way it is, because like I'm living proof, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have a lot of shit. Like in terms of, I didn't have. It's not like it's not like victimhood. It's just like I didn't have, let's say, the opportunity that the next person has. But on the other hand, I have opportunity elsewhere that person doesn't have. And it's like understanding where you're going in life rather than what everyone expects you to go. See what I mean? It's just my interpretation or my variation of the red pill is strictly harsh realities. I brought this shit up last night. Well, I brought this up last night and yesterday morning on my podcast. By the way, the podcast is called the Red Pill Party Podcast. You can find it on Spotify and you can find it on Anchor. But everybody's on Spotify, so check it out if you get a chance. I was talking about this chick, and I would actually play the clip, but I don't want any problems on YouTube. I tend to play a lot of clips on my podcast. I do give credit where credit is due. Many of the people here that you guys already know about, Austria D, one of, if not the best one right now when it comes to red pill related content, because he's speaking from experience while another person is speaking from somebody else's experience. You know what I mean? So it's good to get that hands-on perspective. He was going over this bitch, this bimbo. This bimbo was essentially teaching women how to cheat on their husbands and boyfriends. This is where it's come to. Women will now teach other women, while telling on themselves, by the way, how to cheat on men. Typical shit. Like, dude, and it gets to a point, and this live stream is going to be filled with like just a stream of consciousness from just the past week or two of me podcasting and the shit that I remember talking about, so I can just reiterate it. This woman, which I'll say only because it's YouTube, this woman, this scallywag, is giving women step-by-step ways of cheating on their boyfriend. But then she contradicted herself and says, well, how can you love both? Well, if you have a side dude and your main guy, how can you love the side guy as much as the main guy? And these bitches haven't even figured it out. Like, you're cheating. You're not going. It's not like you have a it's not like a secret affair. It's like a liaison. You know what I'm saying? It's a liaison, one time, once in a while type thing. You're not supposed to love the side guy. Now, you can appreciate the side guy, and you can possibly put him like on the roster, on the back burner, because if a guy, but see, that's the thing where women already fucked up. She's already given up something. She already gave up that important principle. Pussy is principle. Let me just say this, and I've edited this so that this isn't suitable for kids. Pussy is principle to woman. Once a woman gives up pussy to man, she's lost all control. When man receives that pussy, he's now in control, because that woman will expect something in return, i.e. commitment in relationships. And then the guy with the access and just the gatekeeper of relationship, he's the one that becomes in control. Women give up their power for profit. Women give up their power, give up their principle, give up their morality for profit. That's what it boils down to. It's not rocket science. Like, what more, like with guys, guys are just fucking ignorant to the realities, and it's like some of them know it's happening right in front of their eyes. They just don't want it. They just don't want to acknowledge it. Ignorance is bliss in this sense. But God never knew about red pill awareness. God never knew about nature of women. The guy would just continue to go out there, shoot his shot, don't stop believing, keep fighting the good fight, all this shit that we always hear. But he would get no result, and he wouldn't know why. The nice guys, which I talked about before here a long time ago, when the YouTube channel was called Renegade Red Pill. And I talked about like the nice guy syndrome and how nice guys truly believe that their kindness is a sword and shield to protect women and to embrace women. And it's never the case. So much so that women are it's just a repulsive feeling that they get when they have a guy who treats them with respect, because they know that guy just wants some pussy. Now, it's the women who know this and who learned the ways of manipulating man to get whatever she wants at no cost for the guy. She doesn't even have to give a guy a fucking hug to get the attention from man. Validation. And I might do this on YouTube just because I talk about the destruction of woman and the destruction of woman starting with Eve. But Eve also, of course, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden in the Bible in Genesis. By the way, I'm not religious. I just know the Bible enough. Equate Eve being EVE just to be an acronym for entitlement, vanity, and expectations. That is the destruction of woman. And I can go back into the biblical days of how Eve was tempted by the serpent, and then Eve learned the manipulative path of the serpent, used that manipulation towards Adam, and yeah. Now, I know this is out there for a lot of people, especially people who don't believe in God or don't believe in religion or anything. It's not about believing in religion, because like religion to me is man-made any fucking way. So anything that's man-made isn't of God. It's from God, from the influence of God and the creation of God. So if you take away the churches, you would just have mortal man, and you would have the Most High. You wouldn't go to the middleman who is the pastor, the middleman who is, what else they call them? Preachers, pastors. You wouldn't, reverends. With spirituality, it's you as mortal man, and then there's God. Whatever you see it as, Allah, Confucius, Buddha, however you see it, there's the spirituality, and you are in between two worlds. And earth is essentially purgatory. A lot of people, when I talk about this, a lot of people get weirded out, but let me explain. So if you have heaven that's supposed to be upward and you have hell that's downward, where are we at here? It's purgatory. It is our place of judgment. We're not judged right away. We're judged in the afterlife. But our moments before judgment comes in purgatory, which is where we're at now, planet Earth. Now, that being said, going back to expectations, see, it can go either way with this EVE shit. That's kind of why I'm trying to really brainstorm it right now live. It's the best way to do it. Plus, I can go back and go, all right, that's a good idea. I'll write this down. It can be expectations, validation, or vanity and entitlement. Because vanity and validation is not one and the same, but validation for women comes with vanity, and vanity comes with validation. So if a woman, this is why a lot of guys, once again, shout out to Austria D. This is why guys like Austria D will simply say, if, like, I won't even reference him on this one. If you just look into consumerism, who are the mass consumers? Women are the mass consumers. Matter of fact, let's look it up. So like I said, we live, so it is what it is. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. Let's see. Women. Shit. Your boy's high as a fucking kite right now. I'm just going to let you know. Let you know that from the rip. High as a fucking kite. What gender is the biggest consumer? All right. Women. Women drive the majority of purchasing. In fact, women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer purchases throughout a combination of their buying power and influence. This is from July 17, 2019. This information was from www.theinc.com. Okay. And the article, by the way, is called Women Drive Majority of Consumer Purchasing and It's Time to Meet. I don't feel like reading it. All right, the time to meet their needs. All right. From the inc.com. Matter of fact, let's just read a good portion of it right now. Why the fuck not? As the CEO of a startup and mother of 4 girls, I am often met with the well-met and unassuming question, how do you do it all? Of course, all here includes the day-to-day sprint of running a company and a high growth. Fuck this shit. I don't give a shit about your daughters. I don't care about your career. Women are mass consumers. So now, because women are mass consumers, what do they consume? The answer would be look into the ads, look into the advertisements, look into commercials, makeup, hair products, soaps, things of that nature, right? All tying into vanity. So the makeup is the best example where woman doesn't feel confident in herself as woman unless she's completely covered in makeup. Of course, this isn't all women. I don't want to come on here and be like just be something that I'm not. So I'm not going to come on here and act like bitches ain't shit, even though a lot of y'all bitches ain't. It's just I don't want to come on here and be your typical guy, like talk about bitches in a bad way. It's with women. Women are different only because there's still evidence that women have common sense. That's the only reason why a majority. I'm getting this car smoked out. The majority of the red pill is men who understand women. It's not men who hate women, it's men who understand women, right? So with that understanding comes a lot of harsh realities. What you make as man makes you to modern men. I mean, what makes you, let me say that again. What makes you as man, money, is what makes you to modern day women. Meaning, I mentioned this on the podcast, and it's an interesting dynamic, right? Where, let me make sure this is straight. Women will talk about, matter of fact, put my shades on before I, not my shades, put my glasses on before I start spitting facts. Hold up. Now, women will say, we're not sex objects. Men objectify us. But then, under the same breath, you have OnlyFans where women essentially turn themselves into sex bots for profit. Men are the ones who are not objectified per se, but they're materialized, where the man's materials and the man's possession becomes what man is to modern women. I'm going to say that again. Women always talk about being objectified. We're not sex objects, right? But they're also the same group of women who are on OnlyFans. They're on IG taking pictures of themselves in provocative ways every day on the World Wide Web. But men who work, have to hustle for a living, have to grind for a living. Every week is just like, for me, like I don't really hate what I do for a living. So I don't really seek a better life per se. I just seek better. I want better aspects in my life. I don't want a different life. I want to live the life that I live. I want to be comfortable in my own skin, and I still want to be able to have room to grow and to develop as man. A man doesn't stop developing. It's funny because women are always the ones who brag about they mature faster or they mature earlier, but it doesn't mean they mature faster. Women don't essentially understand men. They don't, well, women don't understand man until it's too late for them to find one. Women don't understand man until it's too late for them to find one. As man, especially if you're red pill aware or if you're MGTOW going your own way, you're IBMOR, introspective black men of reform, you're SYSBM, save yourself black men. If you're in one of these sectors, then you know what I'm talking about. Men have to know about this shit from the rip. Now, there's a lot of guys, respectfully speaking, there's a lot of guys who will say, well, younger men need to know about this earlier on. And in a lot of ways they do, but in a lot of ways they don't, because the transition wouldn't be as organic. Meaning the man wouldn't have those trials. He wouldn't have those trials and tribulations of going through a bad breakup because you've already taught him everything he needs to know. But most guys are naive any fucking way, and they won't believe you. And you gotta put your hand on the stove. You gotta understand how hot that stove is and why you shouldn't be putting your fucking hands on it. But in order to do so, it's almost like you gotta learn by experience. And as long as that experience doesn't kill you, if you're able to take some introspection from it, that can help you. Your past bad relationships, toxic relationships, could actually help you going forward if you obtain some sort of information or some insight from that experience. Rather than just sit around, and I know guys who do this shit. I used to be that guy, right? So I used to just sit around, and I was the closest thing, and I'm telling you this as man, I was the closest thing to black pill without being black pill. It's just I didn't have the attitude that life was meaningless. I just felt that my life was meaningless. Life in general is not meaningless. My life at that point was meaningless. I didn't have purpose. I spent a good portion of my time chasing bitches. At least the bitches didn't run away, but still, what I'm saying is I spent my time and my purpose on women. And by women being self-destructive, they're self-destructive by default. Rest in peace, shout out to Patrice O'Neal. He says it best. Women are just hardwired to self-destruct. If you give them the access to do it, if you give them all of the capabilities, if you give them all the materialism, they'll fall into depression, they'll fall into antidepressants, they'll fall into more drug habits. And what will happen is a bitch will just be living under a bridge, sucking dick to just go back and forth to where she needs to go. And I seen it firsthand. Where like Austria D says it best. For woman to be woman is woman to never go hungry, to never go homeless, as long as she's presentable, she takes a bath, and she smiles every once in a while. Some guy is gonna make sure that she's fine. I mentioned this. Austria D mentions this. I think Patrice O'Neal mentions this, and a few others, right? How do you think it's possible that a porn star who does sucks and fucks everything that is a living organism, How do you think she still comes across guys who are willing to take her out of that lifestyle, who's actually willing to better her, right? Willing to better her, even though she on film is a cum guzzling whore. I said on film. On film. I understand pornography is basically art, but the perversion behind porn is two things. One thing that can benefit a man and one that absolutely destroys it. The second thing being porn addiction, that's the thing that destroys men. But from porn itself, as man, you see a list of the type of women that you're attracted to, the type of women you're not attracted to. Most of the time, you're one search away. So let's just say I like thick bitches. I put BBWs, I put plumpers, whatever the fuck, whatever terminology they call them today. A whole slew of these bitches will pop up. And not only, and this is detail, not only do they pop up, the types, there's tabs now. So you got ebony thick bitches, white, you got the pogs in the house, right? You got the butter pecan Puerto Rican / Latina bitches, right? Boom. You have them all like right then and there, you know, that's like compartmentalizing. So it's like one day you may want to, okay, black bitch, boom, ebony, bam. Next day, pog, boom, bam. And from there, as man, you get to what you naturally do at that point is you compartmentalize these women. Okay, one day you want to jerk off to a fucking an Asian bitch. Okay, boom, she's fucking a telephone pole. Then you want to jerk off to like an Indian bitch. Then if you tap Indian, it'll go solo girl, DP, all the like different like. And what happens by man, it's like the ultimate perversion of men by women. Women are the perverted ones because they're the ones that's making the porn. What bothers me is when a guy watches porn or when a guy is known for watching porn, he's the creep, he's the weirdo. But the women are the ones fucking broomsticks and baseball bats. There's this shit is incredible. Okay, this shit is incredible. All of this shit is on the World Wide Web. This isn't even dark web type shit. Bitches are fucking like telephone poles, broomsticks, mop handles, anything that could fit. Because I don't want to get too deep. This isn't suitable for children. I put this on the description YouTube. Work with me. This is like some borderline rated M for mature type of content. I haven't done this in a while, so anytime I do live streams, unless, like I said, unless something happens where like a ton of people just come on board, I'm not going to really put too much focus in this because like my podcast is like up to like 600, I think like 660 listeners, or a base of 660 listeners throughout the episodes. So it's more like it would be more logical to put most of my main topics on the podcast, which by the way is the Red Pill Party podcast, and it's on Spotify and it's on Anchor, and y'all should check it out. This is just free cheap promo because like I said, I'm not my goal from the beginning of this really was to have a better setup. For right now, just for YouTube's sake, the Chromebook works just fine. I just like to be able to have, a nice setup to where I can bring it around with me, do a lot of shit at the job, do a lot of shit on my off time, like right now. But technically I got 11, 12, 3 hours and 30 minutes. Excuse me. Team Green Tea, man. I have this fascination now with green tea green tea, and honey, right? Whether it's the cheap shit or I have these tea bags that are fucking amazing. They're pause. That sounds I have these tea bags, man. I have this tea, and it's green tea, but it's a passion fruit green tea. And I brewed I brewed 2 cups. I had like an old jug, a juice jug, and I just put nothing but ice in it. I had raw natural honey. So I put a good amount of that in the bottom of it with the ice. And then as I'm pouring the tea in this container, I'm shaking this shit up. It was the best shit I've ever tasted. I'm drinking the last bit of it right now. And boy, yeah, I've been on this kick with iced tea, good weed, right? Like what I've been smoking, I've been going back old school. My boy, I don't know how he does it, but he just got some sour diesel. If I know where the fuck it's at, he had got some sour diesel. Now I put it in here because with temperature, guys, if you smoke, you got to make sure your bud is like below room temperature. So what I do is it's 49 degrees right now. So I have this tube, as you can see. This is it's actually sour diesel and runts. I've been smoking sour diesel and runts. I actually have to go back for another care package on Friday because it's getting a little scarce. Just a tad bit scarce. But with podcasting and shit and just doing shit that I like to do, whether it's sitting here talking about the podcast, talking about the shit I talk about, the dysfunctional women, these fucking simps and manginas that support and just worship these bitches. It boils down to like you as man, right? There's a time, I think it's a saying where if you're a hero, well, it's like if you live long enough as a hero, you become a villain. Meaning, how I interpret it, and I probably fucked that saying up completely butchered it. But how I would interpret it is, if you're a nice guy and you're constantly being misused, manipulated by women, there's going to come a time when you're just going to walk away from it. Or you're just going to let that shit consume you and just be a tryhard for the rest of your fucking life. You'll become just as miserable as these women in their 30s. Straight up. If you're chasing women throughout your 20s and you still have that mindset by the time you're 30, you'll be just as miserable as women in their 30s. That's it. You don't, as man, you learn to be. It's not about being a villain as being a bad guy. It's really about just knowing when and when not to react to shit. It's more or less not even about being a villain. It's about being like an anti-hero. And I made this reference, like I did one episode. I did an episode, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Disney and superhero dynamic is still on this channel. Go back and watch that. And I reference how like superhero women essentially want superheroes, and they don't want Clark Kent. Well, they want a guy who looks like Clark Kent but have the power of Superman. You see what I mean? If they can get a guy who just has the power of Superman and manipulate him, then she can still get whatever she wants. And because she's not sexually attracted to that man, he's gonna do it all because he's the good guy. He's a superhero, right? And then with the villains, they're like black pill dudes. Like the villains are the ones who say, fuck all these bitches, everything's pointless. The dating scene, which the dating market is, I agree with them on that. But everything in a sense of life and just the nihilistic aspect, I don't really gel with it. But they're like the villains, right? And then the heroes here, the villains here, in the middle, it's essentially the anti-heroes. It's the guys who could go either way still. but they understand the balance of both. They understand the balance of good and evil, the balance of black and white, the yin and yang, right? So without one, there wouldn't be the other. Without the display of hatred, there wouldn't be much proof in terms of what love generally is to women. And to men, like I've said before, like love to man, especially red pill wearing man, is consideration, respect, right? And commitment. Consideration, respect, and commitment. That's love to man. To man, without the butterflies and all this other goofy shit, the Disney dynamic, that's really what love is to man. Bitches, it's a novelty. It's either based off of a Sex in the City episode, a City Girls City Girls song lyric, or some other type of fucking madness. It's based off of fantasy, or it's based off of a romantic comedy where a woman can just be goofy, retarded, nothing going on, and then a guy just magically comes, sweeps her off of her feet. The guy's paid, the guy has everything taken care of, but then the surprise being that bitch is a fucking failure. Women, and this is what I bring up on the podcast. Hopefully this doesn't get taken down, but if so, who the fuck cares at this point? I don't give a fuck. Bitches, they like what they like is they like to be controlled, but they like to be controlled in their own special way. They don't want to just be told to do things. They want to look at the man and be willing to be told to do things, and she'll do them. She won't sit back. She won't argue. She won't be problematic. She won't be confrontational because of what the man makes, how the man looks, and what status he has, looks, money, and status. That will put that man in that totem pole. A guy who's in the low end, the guy who's on the low end, these guys are going to be the ones to be they're going to be more submissive. Like their attitude and functionality is just of woman, meaning he's going to be the one to try to appease her the way that she wants to find a man who she can do the same. She only realizes that that man has the same emotional responses, the same personality traits as women, aka beta males. So the comic book shit is like the superheroes, ironically enough, the superheroes can be costume alphas, or the superheroes can just be beta male. Well, no, the superheroes would be your stereotypical alpha male. And I don't say that in a disrespectful way. I acknowledge those who are alpha. It's just me. I'm more on the Sigma male. I have more of the Sigma male mindset, or the mindset and the perspective of a Sigma male more than just alpha. You know what I mean? But the costume alphas, and these are the guys who these are the profit for sale type guys, are the game for sale type guys. These guys are like the superheroes because they're posed as the better than you type of people. And these are the people that others who are less than, or who feel less than, therefore they are less than, they make them feel like they need to listen. So their credibility goes up. Their content goes up. Popularity goes up. Subscribers, etc., right? Niggas like me, like I'm from the underground in the sense of like I don't really want to be bothered by anybody. Like I'm the guy who's been in circles of friends, who's been like the pack leader of friends, and like people who a person who others would ask about certain issues or certain problems, and I would try. I wasn't no know-it-all. I'm not a fucking guru, but I would really try to put myself in their circumstances. Women can't do that. because women can't do that, it doesn't make them bad. It's just they want guys with everything right away. That's their nature. And it's not their nature to say that that's what they naturally are. It's what they've naturally became. Materialism has always been the crutch of women. The wedding ring is the representation of the status or the representation of higher up when it comes into women. Higher up being, being the one who's chosen by man. The one who's chosen by man to pretty much be raped, robbed, and thrown to the fucking coals by woman, essentially. That's like it's a basic marriage, right? Women believed, for some reason, women generally believed that marriage generally mattered to men. And that was the biggest mistake that these bitches made, because what they didn't understand was marriage was only something to y'all. Marriage was, it was matrimony, but it was momentarily for women. So they wanted that they wanted that feeling of the wedding night and the honeymoon for the rest of the wedding, for the rest of, for the remaining portion of the marriage. And it didn't work that way. And mostly because bitches, they don't really set themselves. They'll set themselves on a high, on a high level or a high standard, but they don't have any ethics, any real, like, a lot of women don't have work ethics, for one. And that's because they're not really supposed to. I get it. But it's just they're the ones that choose to be strong and independent. So because of that, what can you really, like, I don't feel bad for these bitches that, like, look, there's enough guys out here, right? There's enough guys out here pedestalizing these women, and not regular women who are doing something meaningful. That would see that and see that's the borderline for me where I kind of stop. So a guy who's pedestalizing like a prostitute or a porn star, essentially, okay, that guy's burnt the fuck out. He's shot out. If a guy pedestalizes what you would consider a more traditional woman, is he still on that same level? I disagree, but everybody's different. A lot of people will just say, well, there's not a lot of traditional women to really go off of. And I would agree, but I'm only using this as an example. This is just small talk. Even though we're like, what, 47 minutes in, we're going to go 20 more minutes. We'll make this an hour. I'll do like like I said, hour live streams. I try to promote this channel as best as possible on the podcast. So we'll see what happens. I'll do some more promo. I'll do another promo, brother, for the YouTube channel later on. Later on, when I continue the experience with the podcast. Typically, I would do a podcast around this time, actually. But I figured, haven't been on YouTube in a while. Well, I haven't made content on YouTube. I'm essentially on YouTube every day. Or gathering videos or gathering things for responses for the podcast later on. So I'm always on YouTube, but I haven't brought nothing on YouTube in a while. I wanted to do videos, maybe like a small series, just certain, I'm brainstorming currently right now with just different ideas that I could incorporate either into the channel or just into the everyday podcast that I do. Like I said, I record. Let's see if I can calculate this correctly. Matter of fact, fuck calculation. Because like usually I just do most of my shit, most of my talking on the podcast. It's just more convenient. We're on Anchor right now. We did Toxic Tuesday last night, and that was 2 hours and 18 minutes. Then I did something Tuesday in the AM, which is just called Tuesday AM episode. That was 2 hours and 5 minutes. Then Monday Night Madness for Monday night. We did under 2 hours with an hour and 58 minutes. Then Monday Morning Madness, an hour and 26 minutes. So like I based on how I want to record, I could record easily over 10 hours a week. Easily over 10 hours a week. Just like just off of 5 days, doing under 2 hours a day, or doing like an hour and 30 minutes in the morning and maybe doing an hour and 30 minutes at night. And that would be like 3 hours in a day. So give or take, I do a lot of my shit on the podcast. You know what I mean? Here, I like to relax a bit and talk about current things that I may be talking about later on today. I try to gather everything that I want to talk about on the podcast early in the morning, like directly when I wake up. I think I'm just gonna bring my laptop to work. Let's see. Modern women don't appreciate men. We got a red pill live stream clip from Austria D, right? And we got why certain men will never be able to reproduce. And that's from Rollo Tomasi. So that's going to be interesting. We might start off by listening, and we might start the episode by listening to that first. But yeah, man, throughout the week, like I said, if I wasn't recording for YouTube right now, I'll just be in my car still, right, with my phone, right, propped up to this, right, and me, instead of focusing on a Chromebook right now, and I would just be focusing on my phone. But same old, man. Same old. Every week is just really the same routine. Like I said, luckily I don't hate my job, and I'm only like literally 70, not even 70. I'm literally like 7 minutes away. Well, yeah, I'm literally like 7 minutes away. 5, maybe 6 miles away total. But there's so many lights and there's so much traffic to go where I need to go. The only time that's consumed is traffic and lights, really. You know what I mean? I'll show up, clock in by 2:15, even though I'm technically 2:30 to 10:30. I work 2:15 to 10:15 because I fucking feel like it. Right? And I'm usually done. I'm done everything that I'm supposed to do by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So between that time, that's when I usually podcast. There's times when if I'm like recording, right? Like let's say I'm recording right now on the podcast and I had to piss really bad. And I know a video is playing and I know it's long enough to where I can piss. I'll just get out of the car, go into the building, take a piss, wash my hands, wash your hands, and then go back in the car and continue where I left off. Like that's how, I mean, it's not like this shit is natural. It's just not difficult to really talk about. It's not necessarily difficult to talk about things that are really happening. What's difficult about it is the person's fear, or whoever's doing it, their fear of criticism and judgment by others. Me, I don't give a fuck. I sincerely can care less about any criticism, especially from women. It's nothing personal against women saying this. It's just they're never going to talk from a pragmatic talking point. It's always going to be problematic. Always. It will always turn into a conflict. A simple disagreement blows up into an entire conflict. You know what I mean? And it's pointless for man if you understand like basic just basic body language. Just basic body language, right? Which most guys don't, believe it or not. They won't know if a woman's actually interested, and the woman is doing all she's going to do, which is indicators of interest. That's all bitches like. Some of them, they might be friendly enough to pull off just having a random conversation and then starting something from that. But women are usually capable of doing that. Women try to become the hunters, but they don't have the hunter's mentality. They may have the hunter's weaponry, but don't have the hunter's mentality. So she'll never know what it's generally like to be told no, or to even be humiliated in front of other people. Men know more about that than women. Unless women try to impersonate men or try to do the equal rights shit and then catch equal lefts. That's when that conditional femininity kicks in. They turn back into innocent women. End the story. Or a conflict takes place between two countries, wink, wink. And these women who talk about empowerment and all this other shit and not needing a man and can do what men do, all of a sudden they're going back into the kitchen with aprons and everything, the whole nine. It's all a game. And it's a game best won when not playing. All this shit is a game. You know, even with like, I checked out because I heard, Facebook got the Facebook dating shit back. You know what I mean? So now there's Facebook dating back on Facebook. And boy, I'll tell you, things are a lot different than when it was when they first had that shit out. Because when they first had Facebook dating, that shit was garbage. It was nothing but trash bag, expanded trash bag shaped bitches, tool shed shaped bitches, dumpster shaped bitches, talking about their expectations and what they want from men. Now, this doesn't come to no surprise. I've been talking about this shit for nearly 10 years now. I proudly say, you know what I mean? I've been proudly talking about this shit. Because what would happen is these below average bitches, they found a pedestal, which are simps. Because simps will be the ones to fuck these bitches. Simps will be the ones to fuck these bitches. And in their minds, it's win-win either way. And these women who are like shaped like fucking expanded trash bags, they're just blown away from the experience, and they actually start thinking super highly of themselves. So now these fat bitches, put these windows up, because now these fat bitches, they're starting to realize that guys are just that desperate. And in return, they're not attractive at all. No woman is generally special. There are attractive women. There are women that guys would consider perfect, but they're not perfect. That's the thing. The unicorn, the idea, and I'm gonna do a video on the unicorn and why the unicorn is the dumbest word to use, because it is a representation of a fictional character. Therefore, it's something that doesn't exist. So a woman who calls herself a unicorn, by logic, means that she is in fact fake. She's a fictional being. She's not genuine. I had to break that down. I could have done that in a video and expanded it and made it 20 minutes long. But why do that? I'm already live streaming now. Like I said, this will be like a once in a month experience until I'm able to really come together with maybe short videos, 10, 15-minute quick videos, and just me going about my day. But there is something better about just going live, whether people watch it or not for the time being, and just saying what I need to say and just knowing that it's out there. But yeah, man, I'm about to wrap this shit up. I gotta take a piss really bad. I still gotta start my day because it's 10:37. Even though I was up at 8:30 in the morning, did a lot of fucking around. Just got done smoking. Gotta have something ready for the next go, which the podcast will be probably 9 hours from now, right? 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. 9 hours from now, 7:30. That's when I start recording the podcast. When I'm done the podcast, I usually have it uploaded within like 15 or 20 minutes from actually doing the episode. But as I usually say on the podcast, I'm going to say here, in the meantime and in between time and until next time, Jersey Judah, New Age Traditionalism, signing off. Peace.